Brussels, we concluded that digital online training would be the topic of interest, and with a focus of initial training. So that's why we chose today this topic. And before we proceed, I have to say that we are recording this meeting. I hope you're okay with that. And we are also, I would like to take for CEP some pictures. So maybe one point we can all just look straight to the camera, and Anna will take some screenshots. So we have 2 hours today together, and just a couple of words what is ahead. Anna, thank you for sending the program for everybody, but there has been some last-minute changes. So I'm very thankful to our Swedish colleague who agreed to share their model, but technology let us down this time, and we only learned 15 minutes ago that they are not able to share their model this time. But Diane, then Hartigh from Dutch service will help us and share the Dutch model. They have a hybrid. They have an initial training that it's in the classroom, and also then part of it is online. So Diane will happily share their initial training and their experience with all of us. After that, we plan to divide us to 3 subgroups and talk maybe more detail about in first group, I will be moderating it, and we will talk about basic elements for the initial training, online training. Then second group will be needs for educators when we talk about online training. And the third group will be about how to make it effective and how to engage the participant when we talk about online training. And I'm also happy that Diane will have to moderate group 3, and Anna will moderate group 2. So we will have these moderated discussions, then we come back to big group again, share our conclusions, and in 2 hours we hope to close the meeting on time. So let us allow to be a bit flexible, maybe inside these times, but the end time will be for sure fixed one. And before I hand the floor or hand the screen over to Diane, maybe it is good to make a little short round of introduction. Some of us have been here, some are new, and also to be more engaged. And therefore, I ask you to say your name and the role in your institution. Maybe I should start myself. If not everybody knows, then besides being a CEP board member and chair of this network, every day I work in the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences, and we are training and educating all the prison and probation officers in Estonia. And I teach myself correctional social work, motivational interviewing, and criminology.
Of course. Thank you, Marit. First of all, good morning, everyone. I'm very, very happy to see so many familiar faces, CEP colleagues and friends, Daniela, Mark, Daniel, Christelle, Severin, Pia as well. So that's very, 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 very nice all together here, aiming to work together to improve probation services. I think that you already know me. I worked several years for the Catalan Ministry of Justice and now CEP Policy and Liaison Officer. Thank you. Perhaps Diane would like to continue.
Yes, hello everyone. Diane den Hartigh is my name, and I work for the Dutch Probation Academy, and I work as Learning and Development Advisor. And I will just, well, maybe the Dutch model is more just an example, so I hope you will ask a lot of questions during the presentation, and maybe Jenny and Eleanor can maybe also add about their model meanwhile. Well, I think that's all about me.
Hi, Daniela from Slovenian Probation Administration, the Director of Administration and CEP board member.
I can continue if you want. Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Ingeborg Die Thorsen. I'm working in the Danish Prison and Probation Services, and my role is to deliver teaching for our probation officer or the social workers who work in probation services. And I also do some development on the model we use in Denmark when we have people in probation. And it's the one based on sticks that they use in Canada as well. Yeah.
My name is Marc Marcelon. I'm working at the Center of Legal Studies and Specialized Training, which is the Catalonian Academy for training prisoner and probation officers. I'm currently the Deputy Director General of the Center of Legal Studies.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Christelle. I'm from the National Correctional School in France, and our school is training all the probation and prison staff. For me, I'm the Deputy Chief of the Training Service for Probation Officer.
And good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to join the expert group on training. I am a probation officer and the training officer, so at the French National Correctional School, and I work in the probation and criminology department.
Okay, all right. Since we are in France, let's move on. I'm Daniel Danglade. I'm working at the central office, prison and probation office headquarters. I'm the deputy head of international relation units. Why I'm here? Because there's a keen interest actually in what's regarding when it comes to digitalization for individuals in correctionals, but also when it comes to digitalization, we should not forget our staff. So that's why I'm there, and because there's a lot of interest on this topic right now within our organization. Thank you.
Okay, I can continue. I'm Pia Andersson from the Prison and Probation Service in Finland. I work in the headquarters in the Department of Steering and Development. I'm also a CEP board member. I'm also the chair of the CEP Technology Group and also a member of the Electronic Monitoring Group. My interest in training is for many reasons. One is this digital training, which we are doing in our service as well. A lot of that, but the other one is as a developer, I'm also working with different kind of means and tools, digital tools, how to enhance the knowledge base, the training, and also the methodological kind of work. And I'm very much involved in probation officer skills training. So that's also of interest. And we are doing a lot of this, all kind of trainings, both leadership training, middle management training, and probation officers or prison staff training online using digital tools. So that's the interest. But also my interest here is now because we've been previously talking about in CEP that there are two groups that are very connected topic-wise, and this is the digital training aspect, and then we have the technology group. And as we speak, we are finalizing these CEP guidelines for digitalization in probation offices or probation service. So from that point of view, I'm also interested to discuss what this group think about digital training in general from all member states point of view, because what we recognized is that we are a little bit in different faces by using digitalization. So from that point of view, I'm also interested to formulate guidelines that are very well suited for all members in the CEP, not only for those who are very advanced already in using digital training tools. But thank you for the possibility to take part in this meeting.
So I will continue then. My name is Jako Salla, and I'm the head of Estonian Probation Service. And I have a really big interest in training in general, not only the part of digital trainings, but because we in Estonia are right now we offer only a very small amount of trainings to our staff, and we are in the phase of developing a new system for probation officer training. So I'm really happy to hear others' experiences. Thank you.
Yes, so Benjamin from Belgium for the French community of Belgium. So I work in the training service. In fact, I'm coordinator, and I'm in charge of different project of training for probation officer, probation agent. Actually, we try to diversify our offer to our agents, and the digital training is in one of the solutions to develop our scope. So we are here to keep a good practice and a lot of knowledge to develop our project. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm François Zayas. I'm the colleague of Benjamin. I work in the probation service of the French Community Administration, in the training sector. And as Benjamin said, we offer a lot of trainings for probation officer, social workers, but not online anymore, not yet online training. So we are very interested in that topic.
Yes, Eleanor Tronsell from Sweden. I work to training probation officers in Sweden, and we have online training here.
Then maybe I can continue. My name is Jenny Tjärnström. I also work in Sweden as an educator with Eleanor. We have a lot of technical issues today from Sweden, so that's why we don't have any cameras on. But at least we can hear you, and we hope that we can hear us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We can hear you. And maybe this means also that you can share if you can talk, because when we started, we couldn't even talk to each other. Then maybe it's possible that you still will share your experience as well.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes.
Yes. I'm Sonia. I work with the Commission, the European Commission. I'm in the judicial training team, and we are very interested in knowing how you are using digitalization to train probation officers. Thank you.
It seems that everybody spoke then. All right, we can continue then. I should first ask from the Swedish colleagues, have you established that kind of connection that you can also share your presentation and give the presentation?
We can try.
I
hope.
Okay, let's try and see where we get, and then maybe we can hear the Dutch experience as well.
Ah, that's perfect.
Yes, it works.
It works.
But maybe we should show our agenda with this, what we are going to talk about. Thank you. We have only prepared a little lecture about the Swedish way, because we have a lot of education online, not through Zoom. We have never used that platform before. Maybe that's why we have issues with the sound and the camera. That's why I don't have the camera on. But today, anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about these issues that we have here. And if you want to, you feel free to ask questions along the way.
Yes, and I start a little bit summary of the organization. The Prison and Probation Service is financed by government appropriation. The budget for 2023 was 13.7 billion Swedish crowns. As you can see, we have 6 regions, and the head office is located in Norrköping. We have about 16,000 employees, and we have remand prisons, probation officers, and National Transport Service.
Yes, and our task, it's the work of the Prison and Probation Service should aim for crime prevention to increase the security of people and contribute to a safer society.
Yes, as we have a vision, and we want our inmates to have a better chance for a law-abiding life after a complete sentence. Time spent in the prison and the probation service should make a positive difference, and this is encapsulated in the motto "Bättre ut, better out," which means that the prisoners leaving prison in a better state. And an important part of the vision guiding the prison and the probation service in what we call the 4 zero visions, that says that no escapes, no drugs, no criminal activities, and no violence, treatment, and harassment. That's our core values, our visions. And now Jenny are going to talk about the core values.
Yes, and we say that we should work close to the inmates. That means that you have to be a professional, but not too private. You share what you're comfortable sharing with the inmates. And you should also be a professional, that you have knowledge and clear values, legal rights of the individual, accurate and predictable, and reliable, protection of society and security. So that's our core values.
As you know, we work with the security, and security is about more than walls, fences, alarms, cameras. We have rules and approach for our employments that is based on respect for the individual integrity and legal rights. Good security also requires deployments to be close to the inmates every day. We call our way of working dynamic security work, and it's based on a holistic view where the staff on the prison and probation service and their training attributes and approach are the most important components.
And young clients. This is a group of clients that has grown a lot in the last years here in Sweden. We have young people under the age of 18 in our prison and also in probation through youth supervision. So we have a certain amount of experience with young people with the correctional service, even if we cannot completely compare it to enforcements in prison. Part of the new assignment is about us filling the time at the institution with meaningful content. And next summer, we are going to build some new units for children and young people from the age of 15 to 17. This is what the assignment for the government of the correctional service look like. Preparations are underway in the first stage with a preliminary study that should be ready before Christmas. So it's a lot of work for these young clients.
I'm sorry to
so they
interrupt you,
won't
Jenny,
be.
but I think for others as well, we hear you very badly.
Maybe I should try to talk slower.
Or
Maybe that
maybe
should work.
Eleanor can speak. I don't know.
Did you hear me better than Jenny?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, and this was a little bit about our young clients. Jenny, did I miss something there?
No. Maybe we can talk about this later.
Yes. We're going to talk a little bit about probation takes place in the society. The prison and probation service have 32 probation offices in Sweden. Assignments with probation includes both control and support for the client. The probation service monitor inmates that are on parole, probation, community service, or are being monitored by electronic tag. The majority of sentenced prisoners are found in the probation service. During 2022, it was 13,000 in the probation service. We handle 13,000 people in probation service that year. Based on the fact that Sweden, we are a shortage of places in our remand prisons and the prisons, we work a lot with especially exit measures to get clients out of life in an institution. We have 4 different drainage measures. We have parole, and parole means, for example, being able to work, going to treatment or study outside of prison during regulated times. Those who need an introduction to work life in order to have an opportunity for a stable life after then scientists can get parole. Halfway house are for those who need special support or control or release, who are homeless or not ready to stay in their own home for longer periods. A stay in a halfway house means that a person under their own responsibility stay in an environment that is more open than that found in a minimum security prison. At the same time, he or she receives the support and helps the staff at the halfway house. The prison and probation service and other authorities can offer. He or she may leave during a specific time to participate in employment and makes per place. The stay cannot combine with an ankle monitor. And we have residential care. During a stay in a residential treatment facility, the inmate receives treatment for the problem behind the crime. It can use abuse to or addiction to drugs and or alcoholic, violence, gambling addiction, or help to break criminal thoughts and actions. Extended parole. The inmate who have been granted extended parole service has the last part of the sentence in their home. They have electronic monitoring and must have employment such as work, treatment program, or studies. And it was a specific release measures. And now we're going to talk about the education structure in Sweden. as you can see here. We have everyone who works in probation carries out an introduction to get the workplace together with a suspensor. They then complete basic training, BAS, which is 3 weeks long. The participants, the studies come from all over Sweden. This training includes basic knowledge of regulation, documentation, conversation skills, practical exercise in emergency situation, and emergency response training. And the shortest training is carried out over 5 days and the longest over 14 days. And the teaching methods are based on this strategy of the prison service education, and it works after. It assumes that the adult learn by building on their own provision experience and knowledge to reflect on their learning and thoughting dialogue with other. All employments who participate the various training period must be changed at the right level. Regular feedback and response from both staff, trainers, and other employments in connection with various elements of teaching. Teaching can consist of different learning activities, seminars, work with case, description, exercise, e-courses, own reading, group work, physical training, and research. And here we can see when they training. In the emergency training, it's about the student being able to demonstrate that they can act in situations and protect themselves in violent situations. The student gets to practice using his voice, try kicking and pushing. And this part is carried out on the site at the training center. And we see they, under 3 days, they are on the training center and have some emergency response training. And we're going to talk about the security checks. Our training is aimed at the parole inspector and all other personnel who works in parole. In recent years, our larger office has started to use security checks at the entry. This is because a law change was implemented in 2021. This routine is very similar to the control that is carried out at airports. You pass through a metal arch, and if it's necessary, visiting its use. The belongings the client wants to take into the room and search it. The meaning of the security check is to increase security for both staff and visitors at the probation officer, that preventing weapons or other drugs objects from being brought into the premise and of the probation office. And the security check must be used to reduce the risk of crimes involving serious danger to someone's life, health,
Eleanor,
and freedom.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but we will be soon out of time. That maybe you could get to the online training. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Here comes the online training. Sorry. We carry about most of the course through distance learning, where we use Skype. Distance education is defined in the Education Act as the indirect education conduct with information and communication technology, where the students and the teachers are separate in space but not in time. The probation training has been carried out digitally for several years. An advantage we can see with this, it will be cheaper, as the students do not have to go to the training center for a longer time than only a few days. And it's we find it some difficult to vary the teaching when running digitally teaching. And we have school days from 8 in the morning to 16:30 in the evening, and we have complete various projects where we had to use, among and other things, a drawing board that we used instead of a whiteboard that you might have used in a classroom. And this helps the teacher to write for example, if the student says something, the teacher can write in the drawing board. This contributes to experience as training is difficult to see everyone and be able to read whether they follow the reasoning, as we can only see at maximum of 20 studies in the Skype we use, and they are 30 people, then you can't see everyone. And the student must wear the cameras when participation in the training, and we try to ask them to node so that we can see if they are following along, to get some response if they have understood what we have said. Skype lacks the function to raise your hand, which can be contributed to the fact that there are sometimes several people talking over each other mouth. And sometimes we solve by letting them write in the chat if they want to say something, or we distribute the floor to different course participants to get them engaged. And we try to carry out the teaching. It's in different ways: short lectures, group works, own reading to create variety. In the beginning, we received criticism because it was difficult for them to sit and listen to us for a long time. So in order of the course participants to be able to keep up with the training, we try to take a shorter break at regular intervals, and we pause after 45 minutes, and the very teaching style. And it feels like we have now a good flow. Furthermore, we also try to change trainers between the sessions so that it doesn't not become so monotonous. And we offer adapted study of support to those who need it. They get more time for an assignment if they need it, among other things. And we're training about 500 people every year. And we have tested a few different variants with several different screens to find the best way to teach. And now we run with a large screen that we can decide that we see the students together with our teaching material. Then we have a drawing board there where we can presentation to the students. From time to time, we had problems with the technology, not only today, that's not working. So it's important to be able to get support when it does not work. But there is a bit of frustration when the training days that cannot be carried out due to technology problems. And this was a little bit of our online training. Jenny, do you want to say something more?
Thank you so much, Eleanor, for showing us what you are doing there in Sweden for online training. And perhaps we can now have a little time also for the Dutch colleague to show what they are doing, if all the group agrees, before going to subgroups. That let's hear the Dutch model as well. What do you think? You can nod or... Yes, please. Is Jaakko writing? And Daniela, I saw, showed the thumbs up. So Diane, please.
Well, thank you. I wasn't well prepared, so I will show you just our catalog where the training, our hybrid training is. So there are a lot of Dutch words. So maybe in the end you also know some Dutch words. That would be a nice way to learn some more languages. We didn't have any online training until Corona because we could not train. We actually changed a lot of our trainings to online. And nowadays, we have a lot of online trainings, but also a lot of hybrid training. The initial training for now is, for example, hybrid. And I will just show you through that. I can make this a bit bigger. Well, what you see is the learning traject, the initial training for probation workers. And in the Dutch probation, we make a difference between, can you actually see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see you anymore. So if you have a question, just ask and not raise your hand because I won't see it. But in the Dutch probation, we have, as probation worker, you have to choose if you are going to do advisory reports or a supervision. So we have different initial programs. So this is the program for the advisory reports, and our program is adapted to the workflow of probation workers. So, we first have some information about how it works, the program, and then you are going to learn during an e-module how a client is working, or how the traject of the client is working during the system of being in court, going to prison. When is a client going to probation? When do we write an advisory report? That's all explained in an e-learning. And then we actually go through the workflow if you will be like a real probation worker in advisory reports. So this is a traject of 3 physical training days and about 4 online training days. And besides that, there are also other trainings, but that is really the basic training for writing a good advisory report as probation worker. So this is also about how to prepare on a new client, how does it work in a system, how do you do with, this is about, for example, how to be wise with computer use and not being phished and that kind of stuff. So this is all online because when someone is new in service, you want to start directly with this program. So this is what you do in the first 2 weeks of being a probation worker. Then you go to Utrecht, that's the head office in the Dutch probation, and you have like a training on skills, on conversation skills actually, and that's our 2 physical training days. And actually there it ends all the physical parts. So you have 2 days of physical training days, and in the meanwhile you also have like work assignments you do in your workplace with a mentor during this time, and you have another e-learning about how to prepare on conversation skills, but then you have 2 physical days, and then you go actually to the online part. And we decided, also in Corona, and because our trainers were new to the online training, all our groups are a maximum of 8 participants, because then we can keep it interactive and people can really share a lot of knowledge with each other. So we do that on how to do with reference, about protective and criminological factors, about writing an advisory report, special conditions. That's all online trainings with a maximum of 8 participants. And also we only do those training days are only half a day, because we saw that a whole day of online training was really not working for people. In the afternoon, they were like so tired. So that made that we had to do a lot of changes. And now I'm going to
Diane,
yes.
Sorry, one question. I don't know if I well understood it, but you say that there is a maximum of 8 participants?
Yeah, in an online training, yes.
Okay, I think that this is very interesting
Because we saw if we do a bigger group, like 12 or 14 or 18 or even more, then you cannot see everyone, you cannot talk to everyone, and a lot of the group will just tune out. So that's why we said we just do a maximum of 8 participants.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for clarifying this.
Yeah, and now well, this is even more Dutch, but it will really help me. Because this is actually the trainings program of one of the online trainings. And what we do is we have a welcome at first, and then we do, for example, a Dutch, the Netherlands on a map. And then you have, for example, mark where you come from. So to make it interactive and to introduce yourself, but we don't do a lot of introduction on you as person, because it will take a lot of time and we'd only have 4 hours. So we do it really short. This is, for an example, a training about building up and building down delinquent behavior. And in advance, you had to listen to a podcast of a perpetrator, and who he's telling why he went into crime and what he did and why he also quit it. And then during the training, we go, for example, to Padlet. And Padlet is a program. For example, this is the program of Padlet. And this is the question you have to answer all by yourself. So this is the link you sent in a training. And this is about why did Wesley go do... why did he go into crime? And what do you recognize about the theoretical information about building up delinquent behavior? And what do you recognize about the theoretical of stopping criminal behavior? So people are going to fill this in, the participants, and afterwards the trainer is going to discuss this with them. Because also in advance of this training, people followed an e-learning about the theoretical basis on building up criminal behavior and stopping criminal behavior. And they really have to make the connection to this case study, which is a podcast, so it's really nice to listen. It's actually quite an interesting podcast as well. And then they have to connect on why they started and why they stopped, and what we can do as probation workers to help somebody to stop. And what are risks for people to start?
Yes, Diane, I think that what is very interesting from my side, at least, is that in terms of a structure of online training, participants do a kind of homework before the group meeting. So they kind of come to the group meeting prepared and aim to discuss something very in particular. So this is very interesting. And also the kind of materials that you use. You use podcasts, and this is very, I would say, very much not perhaps interactive, but very appealing.
Yes, and why we choose to do homework is also because normal ways were one-day physical trainings, and that's just not workable online. So we said we won't change it to 2 online trainings, but you just have to do a lot of more homework. For example, already read the case, already do some theoretical base, you just have to read. It's actually a shame that we do that during the training, because you can do that actually better at home. And that's also a rule. When you come to the training unprepared, you're not allowed. You have to do another day training, because if you're not prepared, you cannot join. So we're really strict at that.
Diane, may I ask also,
Yes.
you said 2 days in the classroom and then everything else online, but online, like how many hours you have counted for independent learning, and let's say how many hours then is this 8 people group?
I think it's about 50-50.
50-50, yeah? And
yeah.
then days, or how many, like 5 days, you mentioned something.
Well, we have 3 physical days, 2 at the beginning, 1 of the end. And we have, this is actually only on advisory reports, because you have to do like the same way for supervision. So then, of course, you have a lot of more days, but only for writing an advisory report, you have 5 online days, half days, like only the morning.
do they have to work if there is a half day, or they have to study, or what they are doing with their?
Yes. Shall I otherwise stop sharing, because now I'm just talking to my. Maybe it's easier.
Maybe you wanted to say something more before we started to shoot with questions with Anna.
No, well, I think you also, we don't have 1 week off for training. You just do a training or a training day, 1 day a week. So I think those three physical days and 5 online days are spread over 3 months. So actually you already start to work together with a mentor. So you don't have to do everything by yourself, but with a mentor, you just do the conversations together. And maybe the first time you just listen, the second time you talk and the mentor is listening. And we also have like assignments, and where they have to reflect on how their mentor is doing it, how they are doing it, what they can still learn, and that they will take back with them to our training. So they're really also guided on the work floor.
All right.
And then when we just move on, for example, in this training, well, you also tell something about the information with the PowerPoint. And for example, in this, they have to practice with a case study of Kirsten, and they had to read it in advance, and then in the training, they go away in breakout rooms, skill sessies, breakout rooms, and they just consider for this case, what are the protective factors, what are the risk factors, and they work that out for that case together, and then they go back to the training, and then the trainer will speak it all together. So we try to really involve them by ask them to do a lot by themselves, for example. And of course, there are also some plenaire parts where they are just like the trainer is just telling something, but most of the time we want them to be interactive and to work things out for themselves. So I think this is like in real short how we in the Netherlands do it, and we are also learning every time, and we change our trainings quite regular because something is working or not. So I think I can finish it with this, and then we can still have some time to discuss. Also the Swedish model. They just stop.
Do you have questions now, or we should go talking to little subgroups? And actually, we were thinking before that it should be really flexible, that how we feel. Do we want to be in, we are not that many people, we are less than originally we planned, that are we in subgroups, or do you want to continue discussion now here? It's up to you, actually. Mark, I see your hand, yeah.
Thank you, Diane, for your explanation. I have only a question, because you work with 3 private organizations that deliver probation service. This means that the learning process that you presented is common for all of them, or they are singularities or elements that are different depending on the, because the division is made, as far as I know, depending on the type of the client that they have to attend. So it is considered, or is it basic for all of them?
You mean that there are no like specialties on different kind of types of clients?
Yes, because as far as I know, you can be delivered to reclassing or to the Salvation Army or to the 3rd organization, depending of your profile. So there is any consideration about this, or is a common training for each organization?
No, this is actually good that you say that, Mark, because I did not mention in the beginning. As Probation Academy, we work for the Dutch Probation, but also for the Salvation Army and like a mental health organization with probation. And this is actually all the same for everyone. So they actually also are sitting in the same groups, which is really interesting because they are from different organizations but have the same training. But after this basic training, there are some different trainings about juveniles or about people with an, how do you say if some people are not that smart? It has a name. But if people are not so smart, for example, we have a special training for that as well. And that is way more interesting, for example, for Salvation Army than, for example, for the Dutch Probation. But we also have a training about online criminality, and that is more interesting for Dutch Probation, but that's always after the basic training.
Thank you very much, because we are working in the same scheme, and nowadays we are starting for thinking about a common training for all the CEP probation organizations that we all as well have, and it should be a good model to think about.
Yes, yeah, this is just the basic, just the core correctional skills, and
yes,
after that you can do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
choose.
So in Dutch model, who are the online trainers? Is the question for Diane here.
I guess it's the same with the Swedish people. We actually, myself, I'm not a probation worker. So in the academy, we don't have like a lot of probation workers. We have more like an educational background. So we write the e-learnings, we write the modules, but our trainers are always probation workers. So they still are probation workers, and they do 1 day a week also train for us, but we educate them to train, and we give them the program about what they need to train. So they don't write that themselves.
So it's a kind of train of trainers. You train the trainers that will train probation officers.
Yes, and I will also observe the trainers if they follow the program as we have written it.
Okay, interesting.
And of course, when we develop a training, we also ask them for input on the probation parts.
I don't know if the Swedish colleagues are still with us. Jenny, Eleanor, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, super. I have a question for you, and I don't know if you already mentioned that, but perhaps I was not, I did not understood it, but what's the group number of the training session? Let's say, how many participants do attend to your online training? Do you also have a small group of participants, like in the Netherlands that they only have 8, or it's bigger groups?
They are 40 students in a group, and then sometimes we can separate them to smaller group at 7 to 8 people, students in a group, and then discuss something.
Okay, thank you. And also the same question that was raised to Diane. What is the profile of the trainers? Are they probation officers or other kind of professionals?
Yes, the trainers had earlier work in the probation officer before.
Okay, thank you.
They only work as educators.
Yes.
Eleanor, I have a question for, maybe I didn't catch it before. The people who come for the online training to be a probation officer, they have a higher education requirement to enter it, certain education requirement, or they can be, who can they can be?
Yes, before this online training for probation staff, they need to have a university education in work, social work before.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There is a question in the chat from Inga. Inga, would you like to ask it out loud, perhaps?
I can do that. I was just
Thank you.
wondering, both in Sweden and Holland, if you have how do you test if people have learned what is necessary to learn, or do you just rely on your own teaching skills that they will get the improved skills? Yeah.
Shall I respond first?
Yes, do so.
We do not really end with a test, but we do have like the last day is a physical day, and we have like go out in groups and do a lot of case studies. And so we want to check if people do remember the theoretical basis we discussed earlier in the training. Beside that, but that's out of the academy part, after a year, in the Netherlands, we have the system, if you do well after a year, you get like well, you can keep working for us. And then there is kind of a monitor that is with the quality coach, who will check if someone is a good probation worker or good enough probation worker. Of course, you maybe have to develop some parts, but there is like a check on that. But it's not on based on the training. It's more on average how are you as probation worker.
Thank you.
I have a little organizational question that are we then discussing our discussion here, or we are going to the subgroups? What do you think? Like, we can do it in both ways. Just because we have a quite small group here as well, and a good discussion going on. So maybe we can just be here, or you want to go to smaller. Please say in chat, what do you think? Let's engage.
Yes, please. Thank you for your engagement.
Main is we can be together. So maybe it's just we can also see that Anna, me, and Diane, we would all ask the questions that we plan to ask. Then all the topics would be covered anyway, and then just everybody can hear it. Yeah.
Yes, Marit, sorry, one small remark or thing is that at the beginning, the Swedish colleagues were aimed to moderate subgroup 2. And due to their technical problems, finally we said that I would be moderating group 2, and I'm very fine with this. But having seen that we can hear Eleanor perfectly fine, perhaps Eleanor would like to continue with her moderating role. Can we ask Eleanor? What do you think? Would you like to go ahead with what was planned, you moderating the group?
I can try, and we will see if Jenny also can hear, if we can hear her. We have some questions that we want to discuss. What do you think the trainer need to train online?
Okay, perfect, Eleanor. So knowing that you would like to take the role on moderator, let's start for group 1, if you're happy with it, Marit.
Yes. Actually, group 1 was about the basic elements, what an online training should have, and maybe just to get your experience if you're using something. What platforms are you using that we can, have maybe more ideas? So the basic elements that I was thinking of that we should talk about, we were actually talking already a bit about our like participants and their time, how it's controlled, if they are like working already. We were discussing with Diane a bit that they have a half day and then half day they should work, and Swedish model was that they are working full day. But for example, a question is how they should from what kind of time they should prepare this independent learning. Is it counted and calculated into the working time or not? Because it's a big issue usually when people have to do a lot of independent training, that are they doing it from the work time or how it's calculated? Maybe to Diane, because you had more.
For us, it's all work time.
Work time, yeah.
Yes, but
What-
also always doing a training at all is always work time. And also being prepared. Yeah, we just told you have less training days, but you have more preparation online. You can do that on your own pace, but yeah, it's still in work time, not in your private time.
But they can choose the location where the participants can be, or they have to be at work.
They can do it out of their own home as well. Everyone
Okay, and
gets a laptop.
Okay. So the technology-wise, if they have all the things, the participants can do it from home office. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any IT skills problem, or I saw the little like the thing also to teach something before they start.
Well, to be honest, we just changed our program. We first had Zoom, then we had WebEx, and now we have Teams. And actually, it went pretty well with WebEx, but now we went back. We went over to Teams, and now we have some struggles. So we always send the participants before they start an email with try to connect at least 30 to 15 minutes earlier. So if you have problems, you can call ICT. And then work it out. Yeah.
Okay, I see Pia on top.
You're muted.
Yeah, Pia, you're muted.
Yes, to your question about basic elements. So what I can see is that from our point of view, we are kind of divided through things. We have like the prerequisite of what kind of education you need to have to even be eligible to get a job at the probation service, and that's at least a bachelor degree or master's degree. And then after that, there is two kind of lines of basic elements on in-house training, the training institute and trainers and educators in the service, and also outside educators. So we have like this kind of a basic introduction training where we go through the service specific topics like legislation, like laws, civil servant conduct regulations, these kind of what you need to know when you work as a governmental probation staff. And then we have separate introduction modules for middle management and directors. And then on top of this, we have these kind of different topics like, for instance, supervision skills, work with mental health, work in different programs like cognitive behavior or motivational programs. And then you have like security work modules. And this is kind of built up in a kind of training schedule. But to talk, so I think your question is quite broad, Marit. So to understand what we want to kind of reflect on here is that, are we talking about the beginners, persons who are entering the service?
Yes.
Or, yeah. So the initial training so it can be several months, but it is built of several modules. And all the training is, almost everything is nowadays done on digital platforms. It can be either we use Teams or Zoom, and then we have these kind of groups, and then we use these dashboards. The Swedes were talking about drawing board. Then we use also Mural, also this Padlet, and then there's a Flinga, and all these kind of digital tools where we kind of write and have this kind of interactive kind of part. But then in between all these sessions, there is also this independent learning, and there is a curriculum for all these modules, that what you need to read in advance. You might read an introduction or kind of task, assignment was used, this word, and then you go and enter this online training. But some of the trainings are even built on Moodle Moodle platform, because you were asking what kind of tools. And then some trainings might be in the past, especially we did this on premises when you need to do these kind of drama, kind of basic trainings, especially when you do this kind of change work or program work training, then you need to maybe have this. But this we have already also done online. So you do this kind of interactive training also online. But the initial training is not only about skills, it's also about this administrative, this legislation, which is specific for our service, because the prerequisite is that you know everything about general public service legislation, you know about service systems in the society, you have already digital skills before you're entering the service.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this kind of prerequisites, I think, is the thing, like, might differ in different jurisdictions. What are you expected to already know before you're entering the probation service? So from our point of view, this is this kind of our work, our profession specific things that we have in the initial training. And then for middle management, there is this basic training about what it is to be a middle manager in a governmental agency, what legislations you need to know as a management also for your work. And then for higher leadership, we also include communication skills training. So it depends on what kind of position you are entering to do in the service. But for the probation service, there is everything connected to client work, program work, legislation, and also working processes. What need, the kind of, what do you do first and what do you do then? And then also all the digital systems we use, the offender management system,
Mm-hmm.
and then other, because we have a lot of digital systems used for this kind of administrative work that also probation officers do. So, and then on top of this, we have the electronic monitoring for those who will be working with electronic monitoring as well. So, but the tools are different. It can be Zoom, Teams, also Skype, and then Moodle. Those are the basic 4.
Thank you, Pia, for this input. But if you would think how like you would divide the independent work, let's say maybe some lectures or podcasts that are already pre-recorded and they are there, and then maybe, let's say, contact discussion in Zoom, like how it's divided, or some reading materials that how have you built up the online training?
Yes, it might be the online when everybody is present online. It can be from 2 to 6 days, depending on the topic. It can be in between independent learning some days. You are allowed to do it on work time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but the reality is that sometimes you need to use, maybe if you need to read theory books, e-books nowadays, some people still want to use basic book and go to the library, criminology library to borrow them. But then we have also these case studies, then you need to read and reflect on and train some topics like the risken and protective factors if you are doing this kind of training module. So you can do that while you are working also in the probation office. But there is several days of independent training, but it depends on, because those are kind of built in separate. There's legislation, then there is client work skills, then there is service related kind of things. So they are a little bit different lengths on this, but there is several days in between.
And do you assess the trainings as well?
Yes, there is always this feedback form, and then there is also if you do written assignments, who is in charge of that training also gives feedback of the written analysis, or if there is this kind of, as the Dutch colleague was explaining, like you have a case, and then you need to kind of look into that case and maybe kind of analyze a certain things, that how do you write it? So you get the feedback also as a trainee from the trainer. And then we have also this kind of method support trainers who are also involved in giving feedback.
Okay, so there is still this educator or facilitator component is quite big, as I can hear.
We have divided it. We have the training institute, and then also people from headquarters. It's many, and some people from the field in the probation officers are also co-trainers in these. So depending on the topic, we have this kind of pair. We have from the institute one, and then either from the headquarters or the probation officers, the other one, helping out. So we have the connection to the, how do you say, the real frontline work as well, included in the training. That's what we have by experience find fruitful as well, that you have the connection to the frontline work included in somehow in the training as well. And I think that was the Dutch colleague was explaining as well, that there is this kind of assignments that are conducted in the when you are working, and then you have some kind of mentor there. I kind of hear the similarities about the connection in the real work is included already in the training, if I understood it correctly. Maybe.
Yes, no, that's what we do indeed. And then the mentor is also giving feedback based on those checklists.
Yes.
Do you have any
maybe
questions?
the curriculums is something, Marit, you were also interested, isn't it?
Yes, because in my mind, like the basic elements are like that concerns with participants, that concerns curriculum, that concerns educators, and that concerns technology. And curriculum maybe is like the widest, because there are like, what are the topics? What is it, competence-based? That what and how they are then achieving those, what are the teaching methods, and what is the evaluation criteria of the participants, how we're evaluating this somehow. And because it is kind of compulsory learning from learners' point of view. If you want to keep your job, you have to learn. And
is this something this group would be interesting that we share examples of these curriculums?
I think Estonia would be, because we are building soon our, we don't have it, and we will be interested in every piece.
Eleanor from Sweden also say yes. I don't know about the French colleagues, that here we are very number of French people. Would you be interested in the sharing of this idea that Pia presented? I think that yes. I can see some faces saying yes. Mark,
yes, of course. Thanks.
And I think that you wanted to say something else, Mark, perhaps?
Yeah, I only would like to add two elements that we take into consideration as well, is that when we are training about very practical matters or things that need to be practiced, as it should be the case of the core correctional skills in some cases, we try to make a kind of hybrid model, and we give a lot of importance to have the group of the people not online, but in a classical classroom, just for making role playings and have feedback and obtain all this information, because we think that these very practical elements is the same when we talk about prison officers. You need to practice and you need to have a model. Then you can have appeal or you can have material online, but you need to practice alive, at least for the first time. So this is a consideration that we try to have into account. And the other one is that sometimes we have people coming into the system in middle size or groups. For instance, we have 100 people coming to the system for the first time, or 50 people. In these occasions, we try to promote as well some live sessions, just for creating among them a sense of belonging to an organization, to know each other face to face. When they come like a drops, one, another one, etc. We used to, in this case, give them online materials. Sometimes the normal thing is to use Moodle and to do it in a way that they can do by themselves. And always, we have always exercises and different assessment during the different modules for being sure that people is achieving the rules. And all the other things are quite similar in terms of Teams, Zoom, etc. And I will not to add any more about this.
And I'm curious about the French colleagues. Do you have any experience or anything, any input on this first group discussion?
Hi. In France, we started with the online training with the pandemic crisis. We started only with Teams and online session with all our students who were confined at home. After the pandemic crisis, we are thinking about how to hybrid our training. Because in France, our training is very long. The training is during 2 years. Our students are only bachelors when they enter the school. And there is no specific bachelor. In France, come as you are and we make you a probation officer. So you can have psychology, law, history, bachelor, whatever bachelor you can come. By now, our training is hybrid, so sometimes our students have online training. The most of the training is physical training. Every week they have one middle day, one half day of online training. We have our own platform. It's a model platform. They have session like Diane showed us, with a part of online training and another time with a trainer, physically. All our trainers are probation or prison officers. In school, we have only probation and prison staff who are trainers. They have all specific topics Like Severin, who is teaching on probation and
correctional skills and resistance, and all linked with probation curriculum.
And we have probation officer trainer who are specific on law, on management, over on management, or on interview technicals, or report technicals, others on
IT.
On IT.
But we don't have, since our training is very long, most of our training is physical. They have to come to school and they go back to the field and come back. It's the training is organized like this. So they have, as Christelle said, some hybrid trainings, but I think it's very few if we compare to the content of to the whole content of the training, and it's very rare that they only have online training and that's it. Most of the time they have a part online and a part with a trainer, to check if they understood well, what they understood, and what they think about they learned. Kind of debate between the trainers and the trainees.
Okay, thank you very much. Marit.
Yes, I will take it over here. I think Pia was going to say something about curriculum that everybody wanted to hear. Is it that you're able to share your written curriculum with us, or you just want to say a couple of words about it?
Yeah, it was just a general question that is this some kind of information that could be shared? And I can't share it now, but I could, if we want to continue on this topic, I can, because I need to translate them, I think, in English.
I would
so I
suggest
could provide.
Yeah, I would suggest that if perhaps this is an interest of the group, perhaps we can set up another day time later on this year to talk about this and to give, enough time to Pia to share this with quality, if this is a group interest.
Yeah, I could. That's what I'm asking, because we are in a situation where all the training at the moment is done online. It's only the prison guard training where we have now physical training, but basically everything else is built online due to different reasons, but mainly because of time efficiency, and less money needs to be used on traveling and in accommodation for the trainees, because then it's always this kind of expenses involved in that. And as many of you already said, the COVID pandemic time already showed us that we can do this online as well. So I think we are kind of building all the things on that also, that we have this evidence-based information already that we can do it online as well. But it means that we need to have the on-premises mentors on local level, which are supporting that these things are actually implemented in the practical work. But yes, I could work together with our training institute colleague, but I could translate them, because I think all the curriculums are only in our language. So because that would be more maybe useful if you can have it in English, and you can have a look at it. Yes.
Thank you, Pia. We could then dedicate a little meeting to curriculum, and then to see what the topics in Finland you use, what are the outcomes and the teaching methods you use to reach to these outcomes, and maybe the assessment methods, if you are okay with that, Pia. and if there is a group interest to hear more closely about one curriculum.
Yeah, but if I heard correctly now, so I think the Swedish and Dutch colleagues, you actually have also some kind of structure already.
Well, we need now to this, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's done in a curriculum way, but
yeah,
so I think all these kind of structures are interesting.
Involve also the other curriculum experiences then that we all that we have. All right, but maybe it's time to move to the needs of educators. And maybe who you have experiences already, that what are the needs of the educators?
Because Eleanor prepared some questions for the group. I don't know if Eleanor is still with us. Eleanor, if you are with us, can you please say something?
Yes, I am here.
Thank you so
And
much.
one question, Jane and I think of was how can we distance education be varied for the students? If someone have some example.
Can you repeat the question, please? Because I did not understand it.
How can distance education be varied for the students?
Okay. Complex question, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the sense that when I think on training needs of trainers in online training, I think that teachers or trainers need training and support, not just internet connection, to deliver quality distance education. I don't know if you agree with me. So to deliver a good quality online training, the trainers do not only need a good internet connection, they also need skills on how to present online and how to transfer the content online. Because when you present something or you train face-to-face, there is the human touch in it. But when you do it online, you have to have some skills to make it a bit more appealing. So perhaps trainers need to be trained on how to present online. Then skills, let's say, on how to present online. Then I'm also thinking, those are only general topics there for you to reflect at. We also need, or perhaps trainers will need to know how to adapt materials to an online format. It's different when you present something face-to-face. You have your own materials, but are those materials also valid to be used on an online format? And then, for instance, it comes also into my mind how to create, let's say, an inclusive online environment where everyone can participate, you know? This is also that you need to know as a trainer how to make it possible. Only food for thoughts. So the floor is yours, or the screen is yours. You can unmute yourself. Let's unmute everyone. So we are.
And I would also add,
if you have a clear background on sound, just unmute and participate.
I would also add that I just finished one online education program myself, and what I was missing as an educator was because it was totally online, there were only some tests and some assignments, and actually I didn't know how my students were doing. I didn't know what was their mood, how they are, like only these test results. I didn't know if there is teamwork going on in this class. It was a first time for me to do a completely online one. I had the skills, technological skills. I knew how to make digital pedagogy lectures and everything, pre-recorded ones, but I just didn't have the connection. I didn't know how they were doing, and that was the hard part for me.
I can say almost the same as Marit said. usually when I have trainings online, I miss the feedback. You know, when I see people in live, when I see their body language and expressions and everything, then I have a feeling whether they receive the infos or not. Is it boring maybe or not? How they're interactive. And this is what I usually miss when I'm online. Having the feedback from participants about their need of the topic.
I think that what you say is very much interesting, and it's also linked to the subgroup 3 discussion as well on the effective training element, not to make the training boring.
Yes, can I respond on that? Because I
please.
I think almost half of our trainings are online, and I really think they're pretty well. Of course, maybe I don't think they do under for the physical trainings or the face-to-face trainings. Only as trainer, you have to be aware that you have to make more contacts, to be more interactive, and to use more tools. And I think, for example, how to use those tools, that is what we do for them, for the trainers. But our trainers always follow a half day of training on how to do training online. So to be aware that you have to not say who wants to respond, but for example, say, Ingeborg, do you want to respond?
You have to be more direct, perhaps.
You have to more direct, see people more, maybe ask during the time, oh, how do you feel? Just thumbs up or down, how are you feeling? I think there are a lot of ways to make it more interactive and also to respond feedback.
Yes, that's true. In a case as you have in Netherlands, because you have only 8 participants in a group, you know, it was amazing to hear that only 8 participants, you had them here, you know, but as soon as you have bigger group, for example, 30 or 40 participants, you know, there is always, so far I faced so many different online trainings, you know.
But then you don't have a training anymore. Then you have a web lecture.
Yes,
I guess.
a webinar or a plenary or a lecture.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the trainings, not about the lectures. You know, when you have a big group, this is harder for the educator, you know, to keep interactive participants, because it's a big group and everybody is waiting for somebody to say something, you know. So I think that this is really good in smaller groups.
And I guess that's also why we made that
you said
choice.
That you have, you know, that's perfect. If you ask me, only 8 of them.
Yeah.
Mark?
Please, those who didn't look at the email during this session may raise their hand. So it means the rest, we look at our email even, and sometimes we reacted to emails when we were in this kind of meetings. So it's a real challenge. It's a real challenge, and it works. But I do think that we need to establish, or each organization need to establish well, in which cases and with kind of combination of different options we are going to use this. For instance, we asked people, despite they have technical problems, to be with the camera open all the time. We try to ensure that people is connected in a place that cannot create, for instance, when we connect people at work, sometimes people is connected in the same place of work, so they have a lot of inputs from the daily routine, so they can you feel that they are not completely concentrated in what is going on. The matter of the length of the group matters a lot.
A lot.
The possibility to establish small groups to do very interactive activities is very, very important. Otherwise, it should be boring for some of the attendants. So as Anna said, there is a need of beforehand to be sure that the trainer is very familiar with the tool and know about all the options that he or she can use. Maybe you need to ask directly people. You said this yet, and I think that you have to, the trainer have to have a more directive role than in other occasions. And sometimes, at least for us, it's useful to mix in the program sessions alive with sessions online. One thing that we do, for instance, in groups that have to, as us, we met first in Brussels, we met in Barcelona, now we are meeting online. The normal thing that we try to do is do the first meeting alive and then do meetings online, and in the middle or another meeting alive, just for being sure that we are creating a sense of group and we are working in the same direction. So I think it's a miscellaneous of inputs, and we need to choose the right combination for the right target group and the right message that we want to work with. One size does not fit all.
And also with this engaging, you know, if we talked to last online meeting about dialogue trainer. So this is a completely engaging online training tool. Actually, people are playing this. So maybe also like to use more possibilities of training tools that are specially designed for online.
Mm-hmm.
But Diane, maybe you want to conclude here with your, because subgroup 3 has this topic, so maybe you still want to add something, and we have 14 minutes until our meeting comes to an end.
You're muted, Diane, sorry.
Sorry. That's one of the most told sentences in trainings, online trainings, I think. You're muted. In our subgroup, we actually wanted to talk to if you have like any examples or ideas about how to involve participants. And I really think there are different ways to involve people based on, for example, more knowledge exchange, because then you could use Padlet, but maybe also if you have more about skills. Daniela already said, well, it's really hard to have skills or role plays. Well, we actually did role playing online, but then we said, for example, that everyone had to shut down their video, and only the 2 participants who played the role play had to do their video on. So it feels like a role play.
Mm-hmm.
So that are some examples we use. And I was just curious if you have some fun examples on what we can use in trainings to have like, involve them better.
I have used only like the classical ones, the subgroups or some chat questions, or just raise your hands or something, or go to another like Padlet or this. But now I just started to think that maybe there should be like a on for example, working computer. When you do training, maybe there should be like a student's profile, you know, where you cannot access to any of your other things. You're just in this learning environment.
Sorry, Anna, because very briefly, all the time we are talking about initial training, because if you talk about not initial training with a more mature group, there are other elements that are very important, as the work done in between the different sessions. You can create a wiki, and in the wiki you can put a lot of information, and if you are co-creating something, is about to read and to write, and in this case it is, from my point of view, easier to involve people because they are doing something that if you are only receiving when you are a beginner.
Yeah,
But this group is sometimes.
Sorry.
I wanted to say that that group is also always more busy. So they are really even more like pulled through the email and do their work during the training, I guess.
Yeah.
But we have, for example, if we share something about knowledge and we have like this quote, is it A or B? We ask people, okay, search something red in your room and search something green in your room. And then we do some, the dilemmas and you have to show red or green, for example. So they are active, so they have to get out of their place and then to return and really have to show, for example, something to answer.
Yes, actually, I really do think that if we want people to really be engaged or actually do not look at their email, we need to take some decisions in that regard. And the decisions would be like small groups, more interactive, or keeping them active. As Diane said, we cannot pretend that we have a group of 40 people listening a person only talking like this. This is not the reality, and we all know that. So if we really want people to only be focused on the training, we need to implement different aspects. And I think that you all mentioned a lot of very interesting things, but it's not only up to the people, it's not only up to the participant. Oh, it's your responsibility to be paying attention. It's also a lot on the trainer. The trainer needs to do a lot of efforts also, and the format, size, and so on. Yeah. And I think, but Diane, please, you are much more experienced.
Oh no, but also the trainer is also in the beginning of the training is also discussing this with this group. For example, it's online, like the email and your cell phone are very attractive. Can make the appointment with each other, we won't use it. Or is there anything what helps you not to use your mobile phone or your email? I think that you can also just discuss it with a group.
Yeah.
In advance.
I have used also this kind of like a mental agreement that you can even like little question online that is mental agreement, how motivated I am to do this course. And, you know, when people, it's just like this motivation interviewing change talk. If you say that I promise, or I at least try to take part of this, you know, that nobody kind of controls actually about that. But if they make this mental agreement with themselves before it's about this very independent learning when, you know, you don't see the facilitator at all. You just learn by yourself. Okay, Diane, do you need something to add? Because I see that we have maybe 5 more minutes and then I should wrap it up.
No, but if anyone has a very well idea, maybe you can put it on the email or something like that.
Okay.
Because Marit, I have, I don't know if you have this in mind when you will wrap it up, but as needs of this group.
Yes, I wanted to ask. Actually, yeah, as needs of this group, I wanted to ask that what, can you send me the topics or state it now if you know what do you want us to choose for the topic, because these are actually the topics that we've chosen in Barcelona, and now some time has passed, and we will next year, we don't know yet if it will be face-to-face or online. Probably if we can make face-to-face, it will be good. So maybe what are the topics? One topic popped up, the curriculum topic, but maybe what are the specific needs? Because as we can see here, when we take together the European experts, then the levels that is happening in our countries is very different, and the situations are very different. So maybe what are these common points that we could benefit from each other? So or the topics that you wanna raise. So it's up to you, and to shape this group and what we are going to do. So maybe you can send me the topics, or just write here in chat if you have some topics on your mind.
Maybe just an idea,
Yeah.
looking from our point of view, you know, as a young service, we discussed with Simona. Simona was joining me in the first part of the meeting. You know, when we were listening the presentation of Dutch, you know, about the initial training, some of the countries don't have such initial trainings because either the administrations are really small, or we have from now and then we get new probation officers, you know, and you don't then organize a special initial training. So maybe when discussing about the curriculum, maybe we could also discuss about how to adopt, or in a way like that, to the services that don't have like initial trainings as presented, for example, today. You know, how can we use, and in what way, for the ones who are in development? Can you imagine service out of 30-40 employed staff? You don't have, you know, initial training because maybe there is only one probation officer within a year that is newly received. And there are also differences who can be probation officer, you know, about what is the background level of education, what is the entrance point, you know, there are so many different influences. So maybe we can discuss about this differences.
Yes, we can maybe also find a different experience, different viewpoint, that we would have the overall understanding but better, because there is all the time you would like to benefit for your own system something, but also actually it's about giving to the colleagues and to maybe make this a better European understanding what is happening on this field. So I think, yeah, it serves like two ways purpose all the time, this meeting. Thank you very much for coming and for this lively discussion that we had here. And then I look forward to your emails and ideas for the future meetings. And we will meet next year, and Anna will send you again all the organizational information. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you as
Enjoy
well.
the day.
Have a nice day.
Oh, one thing, survey. Anna will send you a little survey link as well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.